I am now live. Hi, guys. So this is really different than you usually would see from me. I am in Bethany Beach. Hang on. I'm supposed to hang on. Oh, got an eye. Very good. I see Catherine Spicer is watching, so that's excellent. And in a moment here, hopefully we'll have just a couple more people. But I am here in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and it has just been beautiful here this week. So this is beach week, and to be perfectly honest, I have been doing plenty of beaching and not nearly as much painting. But I have done some watercolors, which I will show you in just a moment. I also have my very special guest today, my mystery guest. And does anyone know, and it doesn't, if you're in this house, it's not fair. It's somebody who I went on vacation with. Hello, Becca. Someone who's on vacation with me today is going to be my guest. So do you know who it is? If you know who it is, except Catherine can't write because she knows because she's in the house. Do you know, Becca, who it is? I hear people saying I do. Oh, and here's Madeline. Very good. All right. Well, she's not on yet, but she is related to me. Matter of fact, she is my daughter. And I have 3 creative daughters. I have 3 really artistic, creative daughters. And so it's one of my 3 daughters. So, and there's John. So which one of my 3 daughters is it? I'm now listening to my own voice in the other room, which is really crazy. So there's a pretty good gap. So Madeline's getting on the treadmill. Okay, Madeline, I'm glad that you'll come and watch it later. That'll be great. I loved your teddy bear drawing at Madeline. It looked really good. All right. Well, I'm still waiting. So in the meantime, you say the oldest one, Leona. Good guess, but it's not Leona. And while we wait for her to get on, I'm going to show you some of what I've been doing this week. So this week, for my week of Beach Week, I've been working on watercolors. And so this is, have been taking an online course. This is actually just an intro to watercolor class that Tracy Lizotte has online. And she goes through she has actually 15 different watercolor techniques. I didn't even know there are 15 different ones. And so she starts out with a flat wash, and then this one's a gradiated wash, so it's going from dark to light. And then here's a gradiated wash with 2 colors. And then this one was lifting out to create clouds, although mine don't look nearly as good as hers looked because she was able to pull out more color. And then this one was working wet on wet. And so the paper was super, super wet when I worked. And I just kept on putting more color on top of it and just then adding details as it started getting a little bit drier. So that was super fun. And then over here, this was called dry brush, which is basically when you're working on dry paper. And sometimes you get a little bit of the texture of the brush, but it also means if you want to try to draw. So if you're trying to draw on a watercolor painting, it's really good to use dry brush technique, and that's what I was doing over in this corner. And I'm just waiting for Gina to come and join us. Oh, I said it. It's Gina. Gina is my second daughter, and she is, I have 3 daughters. Maria is my other daughter, and Gina is super creative, and I'm just waiting for her to get on. But in the meantime, you get to see my other techniques that I worked on this week. So Here are some splatter techniques that I did. And then what's this one over here? Oh, this one is sponging. There she is. There's Regina. There was one called scratching out that I kind of did. Then this one was supposed to be salt, but it doesn't really look like much. Thank you, Tracy. And then over here is where I left the paper wet and dry, and that's kind of how I was doing, kind of masking it out. So Regina has now, and I'm waiting. Let's see if I can flip this back over. Well, as we're waiting for Gina, there she is. There's Gina. And Gina, I was just showing all of my watercolors. And so this was the last thing I just got to do. I was able to use some of the different techniques that I learned from Tracy and some wet on wet techniques. And then I put dry brush on top of it. That's how I got kind of the line work there at the end. So I'm going to flip back over so you can see my face. Yay.
You can see how related we are.
Yes, just a little. And it's kind of funny. I don't know. You're getting a little pixelated for me, but hopefully you're not too pixelated for everyone else. But so Gina, did you get a chance to see the email I sent to you a little bit earlier today?
Sorry, this is the first time I'm opening my laptop today, so no.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
No vacation life.
Yes, that vacation life. It's been really great, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really has been. I haven't been able to see Gina since Christmas because Gina lives in Minnesota. Now today she's just a couple rooms away, and we've been together in the same house here in Bethany, and it's been wonderful. We've really had a great week so far. We just had to say goodbye to some of our relatives who had to go home early, including Leona, my other daughter, and my sister Janice and her two of her kids. So basically, Gina, I just had some questions, and I can just ask you the questions. I was just asking.
Okay, yeah.
I've already seen them.
It doesn't look like I ever got it, so.
Okay, so I'll just straight up ask you stuff, and we'll just go from there. And if anyone has a question for you or for me, they can just ask as we go. So Gina, how or why did you start making art?
Well, I have to say I was encouraged from a very young age to pursue the arts. I always enjoyed drawing and painting, and always had those materials around because of your career. So it was always a very natural thing to do. And at the end of the day, I want to make people smile. So creating art is, for me, the best channel for expressing that.
Yeah, for some reason you seem to be a little bit broken up, Gina. So what I'm going to ask, what I'm going to do is actually close you out and have you join again.
Okay.
So I find sometimes when people, when we've done this before, that sometimes if people have a bad connection, we'll just try to start it once more. And then if we're really having a hard time, I'll just go in the same room with her in the house. So let's have two different ways of doing this. So let's see if I can add. Let's see, here she is. Add.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Ah, okay.
I was able to do everything leading up to
that. You're still a little pixelated. Yeah, gotta love tech. Tech is, which actually leads us into the next thing. So Gina, if you want, do you want to just come over here to my room and we'll just talk together on the phone?
That sounds like the more sensible thing.
Okay, let's do that. Ah, hi, Tracy. It's great to see you. So, do you like my watercolors? I've been learning some new things from you, so that's been a lot of fun, and actually some good work too. The one day when I did all the techniques, by the end of it, I was exhausted. So, but here we go.
Hello.
Here she is. Here's Gina. So, so Gina, tell people a little bit about what kind of art you do now. What you do for a living, and just how that relates to your kind of creative process.
Yeah, well, for a career, I do computer animation at a advertising studio right now. Which for me means designing characters, animating characters, rendering it out so that scene will come to life. And yeah, that's pretty much everything from. I'm a CG generalist, if that's meaningful.
Yeah. So, how did where did you get that idea to be an animator?
Well, like I said, what always felt like I was encouraged to do things creatively, but I also enjoyed other aspects of school and doing things that involved other fields. And animation, in particular, does a great job combining not only very creative, storytelling based things, but also very technical, mathematical, computer science things, so that it's really a marriage of the two. And I liked how accessible computer generated stuff is, where it's made for families, it's made for everyone. Um, and that's the kind of stuff that I was hoping to make.
Very good. Very good. Tracy is asking, what is your favorite software for animation?
Well, I mostly use Maya, Autodesk Maya. Um, and then my other favorite software would probably be ZBrush because that is like sculpting
Mm.
in a computer.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, did you end up getting a minor in sculpture or court, sort of? Not quite.
Almost. I took basically enough classes to have a minor in traditional sculpture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which was mostly like woodworking and then that glass blowing class
Yeah. Do
was
you
very
feel
fun.
like that really did that help your animation, or just was it mostly fun?
Um, it was mostly fun, but
Mm-hmm.
helpful in the way a lot of extracurricular things are, in that it helps you think in different ways, and express ideas in a from a different angle than you maybe originally considered.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is kind of like what is your process when you're making? I know you have some. You brought your sketchbook here. I don't know if you want to share some of the things from your sketchbook and sort of like how you how you think through things, and
Hmm.
like maybe what she's like. Tracy says, "I hear that it's amazing. I've never done it, but I would love to do someday. I'm so impressed." So yeah. And there's Becky. Hi,
It's pretty fun.
Becky.
Yeah. Well, I on Instagram mostly post work that's more um, sketching based and more stuff that I don't get to do during work, kind of to stay creative and still be able to think about things that I want to do, because working in a advertising studio means that we're mostly doing projects that the client already has a clear idea for. Um, so yeah, to talk about how I do kind of the more fun
I'm gonna flip
stuff.
this around here.
Um,
We'll flip it this way. Here, you can put. Oops, sorry. Can you? Can we? Sorry. Here we go. Okay. There you go.
so I like to first just use reference on Instagram, just as going through Instagram, I'll be saving things that I find inspiring and fun to look at. And then I will, well, I mean, that's probably my checklist. I will start with a sketch usually, Now, these two sketches on this page, this one was from a painting. So I didn't really do much to it. It's more a face study from a larger painting that I thought was really beautiful. Those are fun because you never have to do much to them for them to look great.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this one I did from an old photo study. So then I take a little bit more liberties when it's photos, usually by caricaturing the face a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Then, in order to add color, because I do it in pen,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so much more natural to get line weight and things like that, I just don't have to think about it as much, which makes it easier for me to get the look that I want. But then for color, it's nice to be able to experiment. So I'll take a picture of them and just bring it into an app on my phone. And then from there, I'll paint in little color, usually with like a multiply layer if you're used to using Photoshop and those kind of photo editing programs, which gives it a nice watercolor look usually.
Mm. Mm.
And from there, I can be kind of experimental with the color. I love painting in like a dress or something and then just playing with the hue saturation or the hue, like the hue bar. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
So you
ooh,
can
what if it
change the
was
colors.
green or what if it
Yeah.
was pink?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a way to keep the process as fun and
Mm-hmm.
fluid as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually post it after that.
So what else do you have? Anything else in your sketchbook you'd like to show us? Some of your cute characters?
My cute, my not super realistic faces. Um, well, if I were to show something from work, um, I've had to do some character studies recently for a client who wanted like um, who wanted kind of a fun imaginary friend character.
Oh.
So this for me is a fun way to find different shapes and whatnot. I know at this point they look kind of similar because we had narrowed down kind of specific proportions at this point. But I love to show them in different expressions and different poses to try to find something that looks like it's coming to life.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
see some of your other characters from some of your other things in here.
Yes, I definitely draw old characters when I'm drawing new characters in a
Mm-hmm.
way to try to make sure I'm not repeating myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it up for reference of what to contrast and what to
Mm-hmm.
think about, what I liked about those designs,
Mm-hmm.
and where I need to break away from them.
Mm-hmm. These are really cute. Expressions are really great. Alrighty.
Yeah, because I think personality in a character is really important in helping it to connect with an audience.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Anything else you want to show us in your sketchbook?
Well, did you have any other questions as well?
Well, I do, but now they're no, I can't see them on my computer screen. So we're playing the not doing so great with tech today. So
I mean, because I do kind of have two running sketchbooks at this point, and so
mhm.
this one doesn't really have every drawing. Um, but I'll show another one that was just for fun. Where I had a photo, and then I wanted to. So you're gonna see some kind of rougher drawings on this
It's
because
okay.
it took
People
a
like
while
seeing
to.
the process too.
So I had a photo that I thought was really funny. Well, and I just loved so many aspects about the person in the photo where she had this really big hair, she had this really cute outfit, she was next to a cage with a chicken in it. So there were a lot of really fun things going around, but her pose was a little awkward.
Mm.
So I wanted to exaggerate her features in
Mm-hmm.
an appealing way and also improve her pose.
Mm-hmm.
So for this drawing, I feel like I was really able to narrow down what made her face unique and appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Where she has a nice smile, she has eyes that are very much squinting up because she was smiling so big, and a kind of nice bridge on her nose. And so then from there, I was able to take her into a pose, but I kind of experimented on the previous page and find something that looked a little more natural. She had better weight for her feet, and it made sense with her around the cage. Ironically, this pose was much closer to the photo than most of the ones I had experimented with. I mean, that's why we use reference,
Right,
because at the
right.
end of the day, it's hard to beat the gravity that the body naturally takes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, then from there, I brought it into the app. And what's beautiful about the app as well is then I can draw in pen, which I prefer to do, but I can still erase once I bring it in
Ah,
digitally.
yes, very good. So, do you have it on your phone there? Could you pull up the finished image then?
We can try to see how this double screen will look. Um, yeah, so you can try. So for this one,
There it
oh,
goes.
there we go. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
there you go. See, there's the drawing, and there it is.
And there's the final. So on this one, I kind of had abandoned the line weight because it ended up being a little too rough to
Mm-hmm.
to take back. So instead, I went for more of a color blocking style. Um, yeah, what's also nice about posting stuff on Instagram and doing personal work is I'm not tied down to any one style. So while I'm trying to find kind of a look that I enjoy, I can keep on doing things like color blocking and different exaggerations or patterns.
Cool, cool. Do you have another example like that
Of
where
color
we can know
blocking?
that we can see like go from a sketch to the final one? Here, I'm gonna hold this down for just a minute. Oh, actually, I'm gonna flip it to me. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get my computer open, so just wait. Give me a minute. You know, you'd think we're living together, we'd be a little bit more coordinated, but we're on vacation, and so woohoo! Anywho, so let's see.
So here's another
Okay.
one. We'll do this real quick. So this is one that I was doing for a friend where I wanted to make a little cartoon version of her.
Oh,
So on this,
she's so
she's a very beautiful person, so I wanted to make sure I captured that. So this page I was, experimenting with character design a little bit, what kind of pose it would be. I had a pretty clear idea, so even a
mm-hmm,
rough sketch I was able to work from.
mm-hmm.
Making sure I did a nice profile because for me, drawing profile faces are always a little bit tricky. And then here I did a more finalized version of the drawing
Mm.
in pen. I kept it relatively light. Certain details, like the flowers, I knew I wanted to be white, so I just kind of left that area blank so that I could do it in the app,
Mm-hmm.
in the digital world.
And
And then I made it into
oh,
this.
she's so cute. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
That is
Um,
so sweet.
yeah, so fun things, little details you might not notice on first look. I took her hand, her one hand, and
Mm-hmm.
copied and pasted it over on the other side. Because if you look at the drawing, the second hand didn't turn out quite as nice as
No,
the
it
other
didn't. No,
hand.
the first hand looks much better.
So I just
So she
duplicated.
God gave her two of the same hand. And what did you flip it?
Yeah, I flipped it on the horizontal axis.
Cool. Well, that worked out.
So little tricks like that. Yeah,
Ah.
I think I adjusted the scale of her feet a little bit too. Um, the good thing about working from a larger image
Mm-hmm.
onto my phone as well is that sometimes the difference in scale means I see things differently
Mm.
the second time around, and proportions that
Color phone then. Do it on a computer.
a lot of times because I'm just doing it for fun. And I just spent like my whole day on a computer.
Uh-huh. Hi,
So
Anton. I bet, and Becca says, haha, no, I want one. Very
yeah,
good.
so yeah.
So now you've talked a little bit about the mediums that you like to use. You like to use pen,
Hmm.
and then you like to use the computer for color.
Digital painting.
If you were just to do, do you have a favorite media, or do you just kind of like to go with those combined media?
Um,
Like if you just could do anything, what do you have a favorite media?
I do enjoy mixed media a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I always have. I think that's what I like about this system as well. Is I get to kind of not commit to either one completely,
Okay.
and instead be thinking about it in different ways and different angles. Of course, the work that I am paid for, I
Mm-hmm.
really do like that a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it is probably my preferred work, making digital sculpture and even animating characters are my favorite thing to do. I do just do it 8 hours most days, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need to branch out into other art forms. For me, it just really helps me not burn out in any one place.
Good. That's really good. Do you think it helps with your like proportions and things too? Like just when you're drawing, like hand drawing, do you think it's easier to make proportions, or do you think it's easier when you're doing it digitally?
What I think hand drawing excels at is not having an undo key.
What having, excuse me?
Not having an undo key. So
Oh,
you're
an
less
undo key.
you're less precious with your
I thought it
drawings.
was like a foreign word you were saying, unduki. I'm like, what's
Undo
unduki? Is
key.
that like Japanese? Unduki? An undo key
Yes,
for
and
you old people.
it's part of why, yeah, no control Z
No
for you
control
young
Z.
people. um, it's part of why I also enjoy working in pen is you have to commit, well, you have to work with what you make.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make a proportion and it's a little off, you have to think about ways to correct it or keep going.
Mm-hmm.
When I draw digitally and sketch digitally, I tend to either be way too rough where I really should be undoing more,
Mm-hmm.
or I undo so much and I'm too perfect. I'm trying to be too perfect about it that I can never make anything I'm really happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Because with these drawings, I'm not perfectly happy with them. Like I said, I kept the hand I liked and replaced the hand
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
But what was good about it is I drew two hands, and one of those hands was one that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of was able to at least get enough down that
Mm-hmm.
I was able to work with something.
Yeah.
Um, I have to add that part of the beauty of working in CG is that iteration is a huge part of the process.
What does that mean, iteration?
You don't have to do things correctly the first time.
Mm.
A lot of it is getting something down and
Mm-hmm.
then looking back and reviewing it,
Okay.
and then either showing it to other people or
Mm-hmm.
just reviewing it yourself, and then taking those notes and making it better.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's great about that is you don't have to feel as insecure,
Mm.
because when you're making art, especially when you're being paid to make art,
Mm-hmm.
you want it to look good,
Yeah,
but it's impossible
absolutely.
for it to always look good,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's good to have the freedom to make mistakes
Mm.
and know that you're going to be able to still make it better and
Mm.
make it into something you really
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
um, even if it's not there yet.
Yeah, yeah. Unlike this process that I had to use for watercolor, which is lovely. I mean, I loved working with the watercolor, but watercolor is probably one of the most unforgiving media in that whatever you put on, it pretty much stays on there. And it's very, very hard to erase. Sometimes you can lighten things up a little bit, and you can even include that as part of your technique. But my hats are off to all watercolor painters who do this all the time because my aunt was asking me if I was stressed while I was doing it. So I must have been somewhat stressed because she asked. But I told her actually that I'm not stressed. It's that I'm relaxed. I said when I paint, I'm relaxed, but I'm focused. Like you have to be really focused when you're doing watercolor, and because if you just kind of lose your chain of thought, you can just completely mess it up, and then you got to start all over pretty
Hmm.
much because you cannot press the undo key. Well, but what you can do is you can just kind of change it, and that's what I often do. Is I just change the composition or change it in some way that
Mm-hmm.
allows me to make that change. Um, so, where can we see your work? Where's a good place? Is Instagram the best place to follow you? And
Yeah, well, because I'm not really selling artwork, um, I am mostly posting on Instagram.
uh-huh.
And then I have a website. My Instagram is Regina Cicone, and my website is reginacicone.com,
Mm-hmm.
spelled the same way.
Very good.
Um, that's where a little bit more of my CG work is. After graduating, I found part of the beauty of having a job was that I don't need to be showing people my work all the time. So
Uh-huh.
it's a little bit out of date, but you might still enjoy it. I still do like the work that I have on there. It's just not necessarily up to date with everything that I've done at work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, especially because some of the stuff I do at work I've done in a team, and I'm very proud of it, but I also cannot share it as only mine.
Right, right, right.
It's a great group process,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a fun aspect of it.
That is cool. That is cool. How about future plans, or do you have an art bucket list?
Oh, well, I would hope to do something like design a toy one day. That would be wonderful. That's probably my main goal because I already achieved the first one on the list, which was get a job.
Which as an artist is a very big thing. I have a job and I'm an artist and they pay me.
They
That's
pay me to make
that's pretty great right there.
art. um, yeah, but I would love to aim my artwork towards children, and I'm still, pretty young, I think, in the art field. So to just continue to explore my style and explore what kind of art that I want to make is kind of the main idea, the
Yeah.
direction I'm aiming
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Would you ever think about like maybe even making making a book or like a children's book or an animated story for children?
Yeah, maybe. Children's media does tend to be kind of all encompassing. You can
Mm.
never just have a toy or just have a show.
Hmm.
It's all all connected. But that's part of why I really like it
Uh-huh.
is kind of creating its own uh, world and being expressed in so many different media.
Yes. Yes. World building. How about a favorite artist or artists that you feel are really influential to you?
Um, can it be from any century? I know
Yes,
it doesn't have to be
absolutely.
21st. Because someone I keep coming back to is someone I did a eighth grade biography report on. Mary Cassatt,
Hmm.
who was a American impressionist who I really love because she has certain tenderness to her work.
Hmm.
She painted a lot of women and children and just the cutest babies.
Hmm.
Those babies are so cute.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a really lovely, like I said, tenderness and kind of lightness to her work that I kind of aspire to
But they're yet
achieve.
not overly like sentimental in my book. Like there's a real honesty to them. Like the babies are cute, but they're not like ridiculously cute. Like it doesn't look
They're
like an
not cherubs.
advertisement or something. It's always still pretty honest looking. So,
Yeah.
oh, and there's Kim just joined us, and Becca says she loves Mary as well.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
good one.
Oh hey.
So, yes. And then if you want to look into more animators,
Hmm.
and this one, anyone who like is part of the animation field probably knows him, but Glenn Keane has an amazing sense of movement and again, kind of uh, a realistic um, tenderness to his characters.
Glenn Keane.
Glenn Keane.
And what do would I know anything that he's done?
Sure, well, he was an animator at Disney, so he was the lead animator for Tarzan, the
Oh,
character.
okay. Okay.
Um, and he animated Pocahontas
Oh,
and
nice. Yeah, that's a
Ariel.
beautiful, beautiful character design in those.
Yeah. In fact, he was kind of the producer on Tangled, which is one of my favorite CG movies,
Mm.
and was really a stepping stone for CG. Sorry, don't get me going on Tangled, because because he was one of the people who really brought that sense of traditional animation to the CG world, and the idea that these don't just have to be um, pieces of geometry floating around in space, but they should be pushed to look like exaggerated movement and exaggerated people.
Mm. Mm. Kim said she is a friend related to him.
Really?
That's a kind of small world thing.
That's fantastic.
Really is fantastic. One of my questions that I kind of skipped over, but I'm going to ask you now is, has there ever been like an art struggle? What was a
Hmm.
what's maybe an art struggle, and how did you get like a challenge, and that how did you resolve it? How did you resolve that challenge? That could either be for when you were in school or in a work situation, either one.
Oh, well, it's easy for me to talk about school because I was just in it so recently, and I did learn so much. It's, engineered to make you struggle a little bit. um,
Tell them what school you went to.
I went to Raymond College of Art and Design. Um, it's a relatively small school, a small art school. But I was lucky enough to be in the computer animation major, which is one of their bigger majors, but also very competitive. That was wonderful because everyone there cared so much about art and even about like making cute things. Like so many of us were there really to like make the world a better place by storytelling and through art. That's my little spiel about being at Ringling. But being at Ringling taught me that creativity is also a skill that can be learned. Which is something like that people don't always assume. Even artistic talent, people often call a talent when it's very much something that you practice out the same way you would practice a sport. Like some people are more athletic, but we shouldn't say that people who are professional athletes are just, born that way.
Talented, yeah, that they're just purely talented.
Yeah.
They're also work really hard at it.
Yeah, and so creativity is also one of those things. In freshman year, I was not coming up with very original ideas. It was something, yeah, I won't even tell you the characters because they were so boring. And but then in sophomore year, I had a teacher who, in one of our classes, we came up with a lot of characters that we were going to make into 3D characters and animate for the rest of the semester. And one day he came in and he told us none of our characters were good and we all had to start over. And that was really hard to hear. But in the end, I made a much better character. Through that, I made the ice cream lady character.
Oh, yes, that's a cute character.
If you're familiar with my reel, is a pretty sweet one, if I do say so myself.
Yes, she is. She's a Baltimore Hun made out of ice cream. She's awesome.
So then, by the time I was a junior and trying to make a story for my senior film, that was still a creative challenge, but I feel like by then we had kind of been through enough that we had a better sense of what were good stories, what is a creative idea. And again, I am happy that in the end I came up with an idea of making a suitcase that just wanted to go to Paris and was always stuck in the closet and could never see him. Because I don't think I would have been able to come up with that back in freshman year. So that was probably the most difficult thing to get through and get over, as well as character design as far as creativity. Partly because in school a lot of times they'll mention shape language and how if it's a round character, it's very lovable, and if it's a pointy character, it's dangerous. But sometimes having those specific constraints just get in the way, and I kind of had to let go of that a little bit and just draw things that I liked instead of drawing for what I thought other people wanted. So that was another important lesson to learn, which was kind of frustrating up until then because I'm trying to please people. And then the answer was, oh, you just had to please yourself.
Yeah.
And then if only I had been doing what I wanted to do all along, it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to kind of go through that too. You have to really see what it is that it is important to you. To be able to, you kind of have to go through the things you don't like to be able to see the stuff you do like.
Yeah, and I mean, feedback is so important, and we should always seek out people's input. And it's just really important to be able to figure out what is helping the image and the idea that you're trying to express, and what is not really making the mark.
Want to show us just maybe a little bit more of your sketchbook? Because I know people like to see sketchbooks because people like seeing process.
Oh boy, well there's a character that never came to be.
Oh.
Sometimes it's really nice to, well, I follow a few costume Instagrams
Mm-hmm.
and like historical clothing. So this is based on a historical dress. Um, it's great because it's very difficult to come up with, really beautiful tailoring when you're not a
Yeah.
tailor.
Yeah.
So you can get certain things for free. Like I can pretty much guarantee that this whole bustle area and waist, I did not just come up with out of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but instead was looking at that and drawing inspiration
Mm-hmm.
from there.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Look
this
at the
one.
folds on that.
A
Check
nice
that
little
out.
fold study. So again, that
Oh.
was a really nice photo
And her
of a
hair.
dress that I then added a head on top
Oh, I
of.
love it.
And again, it was great bringing this into CG because her head is a little tilted back,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the head, so I could just cock it forward in my app. And this one, I had a lot of fun coloring the dress, so I made like 4 or 5 different versions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what if it was pink? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what if it was green?
Do you like pen because you have to kind of commit to it instead of using pencil?
Yeah, that's part of it. I With pencil, you tend to need to use more than one pencil if you want to get a lot of variety
Mm-hmm. Light and dark.
of light and dark. Versus on a pen, you can see on her face, I have very light shadow on her cheek, and yet very dark areas like underneath her hair here.
Yeah, really nice contrast. Tracy says she loves your art, by the
Oh,
way.
thanks, Tracy. And I just use ballpoint pens, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, here, represent this pen that I got for free. Um, I like to just kind of use whatever materials are immediately available
Mm-hmm.
and make the most out of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, look at that.
here's some color pencil. Uh,
Looks like Paris.
it definitely is because of my thesis, I was following a lot of Parisian photography Instagrams.
Very
So this
nice.
was definitely a street corner cafe.
Love it. All the
Um,
colors. So pretty.
yeah, I tried to kind of grasp the energy of the flowers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's not like if you look at this close, there's really not that much detail at all. Becca says it's a gorgeous sketchbook, and I have to agree with her.
Oh,
But say like she really got like the movement. Look at that squiggly line. Don't you love it? But yet, you pull it back, and it totally all comes together. So it just shows you that you don't have to have tons of detail to be able to capture a scene and capture an impression of things. But you also did a great job, like in here of overlapping these different colors so that your shadow is not just solid black, but it's got like little bits of green and brown and stuff like that in there. And it
thank you.
really also helps really make it pop. And then you just use the white of the page to be the white. So it's really, really nice technique, Jessica, Gina. Jessica was last week. Sorry, I don't even
Oh,
know my daughter's name.
well, you got the gist on right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So,
I have to admit, black as far as you in more of a painterly setting, because
mm-hmm.
even though this is color pencil, I was
Yeah,
definitely more painting. I really, really avoid it
yeah,
if at all
yeah,
costs, really.
yeah.
um, yeah, with some early stuff. This again, it's much easier to make nice drawings from really nice paintings.
Yes,
This was a really beautiful. Here I
yes.
wrote down his name. Władlask. Maybe that's a V sound. Władlaskov. Yeah,
Sahalski.
I think he's Czech.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, really beautiful lines. Yeah, you learn a lot about composition, line work, light and dark, use of shapes. From looking at other people's art, you can really learn a lot through that. So, yeah, so these are really great, Gina.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if anybody, we've actually been talking for almost 45 minutes, believe it or not.
Oh, there
And
we go.
so if anyone has a question for Gina or, I mean, a question for me too, I'm her mother, so I know everything now. No, it's been really great to ask you these things, Gina, because honestly, even though we talk, there's always things that, you're able to express things that maybe we've never really talked about before. So just in terms of what you've learned and just in terms of things that you're keeping continue to do. So we'll just give people a minute. Is there anything that you would like to say or about art or the creative process or being encouraging other people to be creative?
Well,
Hi, Joelle. Sorry, Joelle's on there.
yeah, I think one thing in art is to not be dissuaded by really great art and to not be dissuaded by really bad art either. Because it's very easy to look at someone's stuff and say, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the point of art is doing it.
Mm.
And so rather than be dissuaded in any way, use whatever feelings you have about that art to move you forward and keep making stuff and keep expressing yourself.
Well, that is awesome. And I don't think I could say it any better than you just said it, Gina. So I'm going to say goodbye. We don't see any more questions. So we're just going to say goodbye. And Gina's saying goodbye. And now I'm going to flip myself around. And I'm going to say goodbye to you too. And thank Gina for coming and giving us a little inspirational talk about being an artist. So very good. And so next week, I'm going to be meeting up with a watercolor artist who uses her watercolors to make beautiful jewelry. And I think you'll really enjoy. Her name is Becky. And I think you'll really enjoy seeing her work as well. So have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be at 8:15 because Becky's little daughter has to go to bed at 8. So 8:15, catch you then. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Boom.